Sting and Darby Allin retained the AEW World Tag Team Championships last night at AEW Revolution in Sting's retirement match. We've got all the details regarding his retirement from professional wrestling. Samoa Joe is still the AEW World Champion after tapping out Hangman Adam Page in the triple threat match last night at Revolution. Kyle O'Reilly makes a shocking return to AEW, but does he join the Undisputed Kingdom? Will Ospreay defeats Konosuke Takeshita in his first match after officially signing with All Elite Wrestling full-time. We've got a new look to AEW Dynamite with a new logo and new graphics. Wardlow wins the All-Star Scramble match, earning a future AEW World Championship opportunity. Christian Cage is still the AEW TNT Champion. Toni Storm has retained the AEW Women's World Championship. The BCC conquer FTR. Eddie Kingston finally earned respect from Bryan Danielson. A brand new AEW pay-per-view is announced, and an update on if Ricky Starks is still under contract to AEW. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's start off with the biggest news, of course. That is the retirement of the icon, the legend, that is Sting last night at AEW Revolution. The long and winding road has come to its end, and it is now official that WWE Hall of Famer, former WCW, NWA, and TNA World Champion, and the current, I guess now no longer current, one half of the AEW World Tag Team Champion Sting has retired with an undefeated record in All Elite Wrestling, closing AEW Revolution with a victory. Sting teamed with Darby Allin to retain their AEW World Tag Team titles against Matthew and Nicholas Jackson in a brutal, bloody, emotional bout in Greensboro, North Carolina's historic Greensboro Coliseum, which saw both Sting and Darby put through glass and Darby Allin take a horrifying tumble from a ladder through a pane of glass and chairs at ringside, requiring medical attention for much of the match. Matthew Jackson finally submitted to Sting's trademark Scorpion Deathlock after a titanic display from the icon. Sting's retirement not only included Darby Allin and the Bucks, both of Sting's sons were not only involved in his entrance, but also hit a series of Stinger splashes in the early moments of the bout. Fellow WWE Hall of Famers Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat also got involved in the match, with Steamboat acting as guest timekeeper and also taking out one of the Bucks during the more chaotic moments of the match. Sting and Darby Allin have been the tag team champions since February 7, winning them from Big Bill and Absolute Ricky Starks. After Revolution, it was announced that the tag team titles would be vacated following Sting's retirement, and a tournament would take place to crown the brand new AEW World Tag Team Champions. Of course, Sting signed with AEW in 2020 following a brief retirement in his run in WWE, and returned to active competition in 2021, never once being pinned or submitted for the whole time he was with the promotion. Now, as I mentioned, when it comes to his retirement, Sting had an emotional speech after the show went off the air last night. He expressed his gratitude towards AEW and the CEO of the promotion, Tony Khan. He said, quote, "I was hoping that this night would be surreal in many ways. The video package that you saw before we got to the ring, and to see this is the exact boots, tights, and jacket that I wore way back when. And years later, we got some cool Wolfpack standing around here," referring to one of his sons dressed as Wolfpack Sting. "We're off the air now, so I can do that," Sting joked. "You know what, Greensboro, you've still got it. I don't have any words other than to say thank you. I love you all so much." He then proceeded to call AEW CEO Tony Khan to the ring, saying, quote, "I'd like to call a very important person out. It wouldn't be possible without Tony Khan. This is my last night, so I can say, Tony, hustle, come on," said Sting to Khan. Khan came out to the ring, hugged Sting, and thanked the fans for being part of the greatest wrestling pay-per-view ever, celebrating Sting's career. Sting's tag team partner Darby Allin, who was bruised and battered after falling on glass, was left without words following Sting's match and hoped that the fans got their money's worth. Sting got back on the mic and shouted out AEW commentator Tony Schiavone, who's been part of the Icon's pro wrestling journey for a long time. Schiavone then proceeded to get on the mic and declare, "It's Sting," in his signature style, much to the delight of fans in the arena as well. Now, when it comes to his retirement, we've got some more details on really how AEW mapped this out as well, because of course Sting is now retired, and he retired as a tag team champion. Now, when it comes to the AEW World Tag Team Championships, as I mentioned, we're going to be having a tournament. They've been vacated now, and that's going to be the situation. It isn't going to be a case of Darby Allin retaining the titles and then carrying on with a different partner or anything like that. Now, according to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, AEW sources had indicated that the idea for the Young Bucks to emerge without winning the titles was made weeks ago, but they were planned to remain close to this tag team title picture, so there is a possibility they could still be the next AEW World Tag Team Champions. Now, Fightful Select is reporting that they have been told that All Elite Wrestling and Tony Khan were adamant that Sting go out on top and as a champion. Fightful has long been told from those within the company that honouring Sting appropriately was important to management there. Sting headlining and main eventing the show was the plan in place virtually the moment that Sting announced he would be retiring there. He had a major say on the Young Bucks being his final opponents, as was previously reported. Also, the planned location of the event was moved from its originally planned location in the Midwest to better fit Sting's retirement too in Greensboro, North Carolina. However, Fightful have been told that should be rectified for fans in the Midwest pretty soon. This past week in Huntington, Fightful were told that there were several who were angling to get one of the bats hanging from the ceiling backstage as a keepsake. There were also several talent who were getting items signed by Sting at last week's show. Lex Luger, as I mentioned, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, Scotty Riggs, and many others were backstage to support Sting and were not hidden before the show. After Sting signaled his sons, they walked alongside the ramp to the backstage area. They returned after the show for Sting's speech, as I mentioned off the air. Tony Khan was brought out and thanked by Sting. The entire roster joined on the ramp and bid Sting farewell. Darby joked that he would have to leave to go to the hospital real quick as well. Now, as of right now, Fightful have not heard of any additional dates for Sting. It was mentioned in the post-show press conference that Tony Khan ideally would like to keep Sting around, maybe in a backstage capacity, if occasionally or infrequently or something like that. Time will only tell if indeed that's what they do. But what did you make of Sting's retirement last night? What do you think his legacy looks like too? And do you think this was the right move to have Sting retain the titles and go out on top? Let me know your thoughts about that in the comment section below. Now, the AEW World Championship didn't change hands either last night. Samoa Joe snatched victory from Swerve Strickland during the AEW World Championship three-way, also featuring Hangman Adam Page at Revolution. Strickland looked to have the match won after landing his own adapted version of the buckshot lariat followed by the JML driver to Adam Page, only for Joe to snatch Strickland out of his pinning position for a half-and-half suplex. Afterwards, he locked in the coquina clutch and forced Page to tap out, though the question has been asked as to whether Page had submitted legitimately or as a way to ensure his arch-rival Swerve didn't win the world title. Page was also a victim of his own actions earlier in the match, taking out the referee to prevent a Swerve pinfall before landing several shots to his adversary with the championship bout. He declared the title to be his and that Strickland would never have it before landing two buckshot lariats for the visual pin. Alas, there was no referee to make the count. By the time a different referee made it into the ring, Joe kicked out, although Page would similarly take the new referee out before the closing stretch as he gradually became more unhinged. Samoa Joe's title reign will now continue beyond 65 days, having won the title from MJF at AEW World's End. Now, when it comes to Hangman Page, of course, there was quite a lot of confusion and questions about his status for Revolution going into this pay-per-view, and now we know that he actually is going to be missing some TV time, possibly quite a lot of it. Of course, Hangman Adam Page took the loss at AEW Revolution last night, but according to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, it might be for a good reason. Leading up to the match and for quite some time, word was that Hangman Page was set to take some time off AEW television, according to Fightful. Now, Fightful say they aren't sure specifically when that starts, but it was possibly set up by him attacking referees at AEW Revolution, so they could do a situation where he's suspended for quite some time. Now, Page's status for the match last night was actually, according to Sapp, touch and go until this past week. Fightful have been told that if he does miss time, it could be a few months. So quite a significant amount of time. We get any more concrete and confirmed details on Hangman Page's status in the future, of course, we'll let you know. Now, a surprising return last night followed a title change. We have a brand new AEW International Champion, but the biggest story coming out of this match was the return of Kyle O'Reilly to All Elite Wrestling. Now, to start off, Roderick Strong has won his first title in AEW. At Sunday's Revolution pay-per-view, the Messiah of the Backbreaker wore down AEW International Champion Orange Cassidy, punishing the champion's torso with a myriad of backbreakers. After the match, Kyle O'Reilly returned to AEW, looking quite disheveled and cagey. The Undisputed Kingdom offered O'Reilly a shirt and a place in the faction, but O'Reilly whispered something to Strong and declined. Now, details on O'Reilly have been pretty scarce over the past year or so as he recovered from neck fusion surgery. Adam Cole recently gave a vague update on his health in September, sounding optimistic. When it came to O'Reilly, though, he had a lot of complications due to his diabetes after the surgery, and at several points it was seeming unlikely he could ever wrestle again. Now, the former NXT North American champion and Cruiserweight champion, as well as a former Ring of Honor World Television champion, the title marked Roderick Strong's first title win since joining AEW last year. Strong spent much of his debut year in a neck brace and acting more of a mouthpiece for his friend Adam Cole during Cole's budding tag team with MJF. He was revealed alongside the Kingdom and Wardlow as Cole's associate in the Undisputed Kingdom, which revealed itself at AEW World's End. Now, when it comes to Kyle O'Reilly, as I mentioned, he's back, but it's been a very, very long road for him to get back to AEW. According to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, there were times during O'Reilly's absence where the company operated in the possibility they may never get him back from his injury. However, by late fall last year in 2023, Fightful were told he was very optimistic of a comeback. Now, O'Reilly showed up with a new look, as you can see on the screen right there, and Fightful have been told that there are other elements that will be different for him. Many had expected him to be a part of the Undisputed Kingdom reveal, but a different direction has been in the works for the last few months. Now, several viewers saw O'Reilly traveling into town, and word of his return was known within AEW, but some thought it would happen later on this month as opposed to last night at Revolution. Now, despite the rest of the Undisputed Era being in AEW, that being Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, and Roderick Strong, Fightful have been told that AEW hadn't been in recent talks with Bobby Fish as of a couple of weeks ago, or plans for him to come back to the company and join or anything like that. So Bobby Fish, as of right now, isn't set for a return to AEW or anything of the like. Now, when it comes to Will Ospreay, of course, he competed last night at AEW Revolution, competing in his first match since signing full-time with All Elite Wrestling. Will Ospreay made his full-time AEW debut on Sunday and took himself and Konosuke Takeshita to each other's physical limits. Ospreay was victorious in his debut at AEW Revolution, pinning Takeshita after a Tiger Driver 91, followed by a vicious hidden blade. Both men are members of the Don Callis family, and following Ospreay's victory, he was greeted by Ring of Honor World Television Champion Kyle Fletcher, who was in Ospreay's United Empire faction in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and is now a fellow member of the Don Callis family. We'll talk about that in just a second. Ospreay will have to get his physical condition checked out, though, as the former IWGP World Heavyweight Champion took a thorough beating in the match, suffering a contusion to his lower back, not far from his liver. Oh, this was Ospreay's first match in AEW under his full-time contract. Of course, he has wrestled matches previously in AEW, facing off against the likes of Orange Cassidy at the first Forbidden Door, Kenny Omega at last year's Forbidden Door, also facing Chris Jericho at All In last summer at Wembley Stadium as well. Now, speaking of Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher, they're going to be having a match this coming Wednesday on Dynamite, but it's going to be a new look AEW Dynamite. Quite a lot of cosmetic changes coming to AEW's flagship show. On last night's AEW Revolution pay-per-view, a brand new logo for AEW Dynamite was officially confirmed and appeared on screen for the first time. Will Ospreay, as mentioned, picked up his first victory after becoming exclusively All Elite last night on pay-per-view in a thrilling match at Revolution. Taking on fellow Don Callis family member Konosuke Takeshita, he won and defeated his, partner, rival, however you want to call it. Now, announced by the end of the match on this week's episode of AEW Dynamite, Will Ospreay will take on Kyle Fletcher. Now, Fletcher appeared in the ring and he embraced with Ospreay, but of note, the graphics shown on the screen for the upcoming match featured the brand new AEW Dynamite logo and graphics. Gone is the original Dynamite logo. It's been replaced with what you can see on the screen right there, and also a new background for the graphic. Of course, AEW President and CEO Tony Khan previously confirmed via a Valentine's Day poem that the Wednesday after Revolution there would be a brand new set, stage, graphics, and logo for Dynamite as well. So we're going to be getting a bit of a reboot this coming Wednesday. What do you make of this new logo, the new graphics? What are your hopes when it comes to the new set and stage as well? Let me me know your thoughts about that in the comment section below. Now, going back to AEW Revolution last night, we saw this all-star scramble involving several top AEW stars, and it was won by an undisputed Kingdom member, that being Wardlow, outlasting 7 other competitors in what can best be described as a demolition derby of a match. Wardlow prevailed in the all-star scramble at AEW Revolution to earn a future AEW World Championship opportunity. Wardlow had to persevere through plenty of adversity in the match, including a double submission attempt when Hook was attempting a Red Row and Chris Jericho looked to take advantage by slapping on a Lion Tamer. How the match would have been decided had Wardlow tapped or passed out is anyone's guess, but in the end, it mattered not, as he was able to power out and continue his assault on the rest of the field, which included Dante Martin, CMLL's Magnus, Lance Archer, Brian Cage, and Powerhouse Hobbs. This match took the place of what was originally supposed to be dubbed Meat Madness, featuring Wardlow, Hobbs, Archer, and others, only to be scrapped due to multiple injuries and absences, though all 3 initially announced participants took part in last night's scramble. AEW President Tony Khan later clarified that he had hoped Miro and Keith Lee would be available, but the pivot was made when they were not. While Wardlow benefited the most from the multi-man showcase in earning the victory, as might be expected in such a scenario, all involved had the opportunity to put their unique skill sets on display. Hook, not too far removed from his effort against AEW World Champion Samoa Joe, had multiple submission attempts and an out-of-character double axe handle off the top rope, for instance, but was unable to further the momentum gained from his near championship showing against Joe in early January. Martin launched himself all around the ring and outside as well, including a couple of scary spots actually. And Chris Jericho's efforts to take a chunk out of Hobbs, a member of the Don Callis family, were thwarted by a World's Strongest Slam on the arena floor. So Wardlow is set for a future opportunity against his former tag team partner, Samoa Joe. Now, the TNT Championship is sticking with the patriarchy. Daniel Garcia put up a valiant fight to open up AEW Revolution, but it was no match for the patriarchy. Christian Cage was victorious on Sunday thanks to help from Mama Wayne, Nick Wayne, and Killswitch. Garcia was able to overcome distractions from Killswitch and Mama Wayne, but a cutter from Nick Wayne gave Cage the opportunity to drill Garcia with a Killswitch for the victory. Garcia even had help from his own ally, Daddy Magic Matt Menard, who came to blows with Killswitch and stared down Mama Wayne, but all for naught. Cage has been champion since AEW World's End at the end of December. Cage was initially defeated for the title by Adam Copeland, but used Killswitch's guaranteed title shot to re-challenge Copeland that very same night, recapturing the title just moments after losing it. Cage's 2 reigns have amounted to 161 days, the 3rd longest reign in the history of the title, which was established, of course, in 2020, with Cody Rhodes being the inaugural champion. Now, Toni Storm is still timeless and still the AEW Women's World Champion too. For a moment, it looked as though we might have a new AEW Women's World Champion at Revolution, as Deonna Purrazzo had timeless Toni Storm locked in her Venus de Milo finisher, but with Luther distracting the referee from seeing Storm tap and Purrazzo letting the move go to deal with another distraction from Mariah May, Storm capitalized with a Storm Zero to retain her title. This feud has been wrought with mind games from the start, with Purrazzo imploring Storm to return to the friend she used to know as opposed to this timeless incarnation. So last night, with May entering to Storm's old music and dressed to the nines in the garb befitting of her mentor's former persona, it was fitting for the virtuoso to get distracted by the spitting image of Storm's former self, only to lose to her present personality. Purrazzo targeted Storm from the onset of her AEW tenure when she debuted in her home state of New Jersey in early January to address Storm's disdain for the state. The history between the two was leaned into heavily up until and including the matching ankle tattoos that the pair shares, references to a time when they apparently lived together, and other nuances that timeless Toni Storm refused to acknowledge throughout. But still, she is the AEW Women's World Champion. Now, recently there's been this feud between the BCC and FTR, and that came to a head last night at Revolution as well. The Blackpool Combat Club's Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli outlasted FTR in a bloody bout at AEW Revolution. FTR were forced to endure a dominant performance from the eventual victors, with Moxley and Castagnoli controlling much of the bout interspersed with FTR comeback attempts. Dax Harwood was busted open after colliding with the ring post, leaving the ring mat stained with blood before the closing stretch. Finishes were exchanged, yet neither team could put the other away. But it was Moxley and Castagnoli who took advantage, locking in a synchronized submission for the referee stoppage. Last night's clash between FTR and BCC was a rematch from their 20-minute time limit draw during AEW Dynamite in February, and the sequel went slightly longer than its precursor with just under 22 minutes of action. Moxley and Claudio scored some semblance of retribution with their victory following Bryan Danielson showing earlier on in the evening, which we'll get to in just a second. Speaking of which, Eddie Kingston is still the AEW Continental Champion. Eddie Kingston defeated Bryan Danielson once again at Revolution, retaining the Continental Championship and earning the respect of his nemesis in the process. Kingston had a mountain of offense to overcome before victory, however, with the American Dragon targeting his preferential right arm. At multiple stages, it appears as though Kingston would succumb to the onslaught, but after getting his second win and standing striking exchange with Danielson, he took advantage with a powerbomb to score the pinfall. After the match, as Kingston stipulated beforehand, Bryan Danielson had to observe the code of honor and shake hands. At first, Danielson feigned a refusal before pulling Kingston back for the embrace, putting him over to the audience before leaving the ring. Sunday's Continental title match was a rematch of Kingston and Danielson's December semi-final bout in the Continental Classic, which Kingston eventually won with victories over Danielson and later Jon Moxley. It was also the first time that Kingston had been able to defeat Danielson, having lost their previous 3 contests in the Blue League block of the Continental Classic, in the AEW World Title Eliminator Tournament back in 2021, and in their very first singles match in Chikara back in 2010. So Kingston still holding on to his title. Now, he spoke the other day about several more pay-per-views being added to the AEW pay-per-view calendar, and one that has now been confirmed is AEW Dynasty coming next month. Now, the card at AEW Revolution featured plenty of action with both men's and women's titles being defended and the International Championship changing hands, the All-Star Scramble, Will Ospreay facing off against Konosuke Takeshita, Sting's retirement. It also broke some news in the form of a brand new pay-per-view making its ways to AEW schedule, as Dynasty will debut on Sunday, April 21st in St. Louis, Missouri. If 2023 schedule is a reliable guideline, Dynasty will slot in just ahead of Double or Nothing, giving the company an opportunity to flesh out additional storylines ahead of one of its big 4 events. Dynasty will officially become AEW's 10th unique pay-per-view event, following Double or Nothing, Fyter Fest, Fight for the Fallen, All Out, and Full Gear, debuting in 2019, with Revolution joining the fray in 2020, Forbidden Door in 2022, All In and Wrestle Dream and World's End in 2023 as well. So this pay-per-view is now confirmed too. Finally, we have an update on Ricky Starks. Now, this was quite an interesting one because there were rumors going around online that Ricky Starks was a free agent and his AEW deal was up. Now, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select asked around within AEW, and they were told that that would be news to them, and also confirmed with those close to Starks that his contract indeed is not up. Now, Starks hasn't wrestled in AEW since he and Big Bill dropped the AEW tag team titles to Sting and Darby Allin. They don't have information on why that is or when Starks' contract is actually up. However, Starks is still signed. This was something that was actually confirmed by AEW President and CEO Tony Khan at the post-AEW Revolution media scrum. He was asked about Ricky Starks' status in AEW amidst this free agency rumors. Khan confirmed that Starks is with AEW and still under contract. He said, quote, "I don't know about the rumors. Ricky Starks is part of AEW and is definitely one of the best wrestlers. Ricky is definitely still under contract in AEW." So those rumors are put to bed. But there you go, guys. This latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.